Hi, it's Nell, and I'm glad you've joined me here today because today it's all about 7 easy care floor plants for beginning houseplant gardeners. So last week I did a post and a video all about 7 easy care tabletop and hanging plants for beginning houseplant gardeners. Now those are the smaller ones. These are the bigger ones, so I just want to cover all bases here. And these are ones that I have had great experiences with. I was in the interior scaping trade for a while, and if they can stand the test of being in offices, they are going to do just fine in your home. Oh, and also I have grown most of these plants in my home. I think there's 3 or 4 of them I don't have now, but I have grown them and I will have them again soon. So I will be doing care videos on those for you as soon as I get them, and I've grown them in Tucson for a while. So floor plants obviously sit on the floor. They take up more room than tabletop plants, and they are also more expensive than tabletop plants. Some are tall and narrow, some are low and they spread, some are tall and they spread. So you have to have the room for floor plants. And what I would recommend if you're brand new to the wonderful world of houseplant gardening is to start with a few of the smaller plants first. I'll leave the link to that blog in the post down below. I think I forgot to say that. You can start with a couple of those and then build your confidence up and then work your way into the floor plants. And for me, floor plants aren't any harder to take care of. They're just a more expensive experiment. So that's why I recommend starting with maybe like a smaller pothos or an aloe vera, and then you can work your way up to the more expensive plants. And there will be a few tips at the end on plant selection and also plant care. But I have done posts on almost all of these plants, and they are all, I think they're all in the Simple Houseplant Care Guide book I did called Keep Your Houseplants Alive. I will also leave that link down below. And I'm just going to skim over light conditions here, low to medium, medium, high. And I'm going to furtherly explain that in the blog post, so you can refer to that. The link will be down below. And also at the end of this post, you will find my choices for a few runners up, because I try to keep the lists fairly short instead of doing 12 to 15, because I know how I am. If I have too many choices, I get overwhelmed. Now, these 7 plants that you are going to see soon and hear about soon are all also available as tabletop plants in smaller pots, smaller size, but just know that they will eventually grow into floor plants. But if you want a 6-foot, say, corn plant, buy it as a 5 to 6 foot plant. Because if you buy it as a 1-foot plant in your home, it's going to take a long time for it to get to be 6 feet. Snake plants. Ooh, yes. They made the tabletop list too, because they are just about as tough as can be. They come in a variety of sizes and leaf patterns and colors and all that good stuff. But the one in the back is Sansevieria trifasciata zeylanica, and that one is one of the ones that gets tall. The Laurenti gets very tall too. So that's why they are floor plants. And in the front I have a couple of Sansevieria moonshines, and they were like a gray, silver, green, and now they are starting to revert, because that's sometimes what snake plants do. And this is good for the tighter, maybe more narrow spaces. And if the plants start to, if the leaves start to lean and fall over, which they do, I've done a separate video and post on that, you can just cut them off or stake them up. List, it's another tough as nails plant. And this one of mine actually sits on a plant stand. So for me, it's technically not a flora plant, but I'm going to take you in the house and show you my ZZ plant, which is a flora plant. Obviously very wide plant, but it does well, but it was just too heavy to haul out here. And although ZZ plants are billed as low light plants a lot of times, they do much better in medium light, which is true of a lot of plants. And as you can see, it has beautiful dark glossy green foliage. But it does take up a little piece of real estate after it starts to spread. It can get to about 4 feet by 4 feet, which is, mine is probably like 4 feet by about 3 feet or so now. Dracaena lisa. This one is in cane form. That's what the stalks or trunks or whatever you want to call them are called. They're called canes, and I think mine has 4 canes in it, so it's a staggered look. And they are suitable for low to medium light. We used to put them in offices all the time in low light. They were the ultimate low light plant, but they actually do. Again, they do better in medium light. Very dark, glossy green. And you can find them anywhere from like 5 to 8 feet tall or so as floor plants. Oh, and also the Dracaena Janet Craig is very similar to this one. It's just more of a open form with larger leaves. This one keeps a better shape, but the Dracaena Janet Craig is still around with the same requirements. Next up are rubber trees or rubber plants. And these are medium to high light. They like nice bright light. Let's see. Oh, this is the exception to growing slow. These plants, for me anyway, grow relatively fast, actually fairly fast. And on the right is the darker one, that is the Decora. And the two on the left are the Variegatas. And the one in the middle is the one that I air layered. And as you can see, it is turning into a tree form. And the one on the left is the one that I actually air layered, and I started that as a new plant. Whew, I will say that tabletop plants are a lot easier to bring outside than floor plants. So the remaining 3 plants, I've done posts on 2 of them. The third one is in the book, and I plan on doing a post on it soon because I want to get one. Dracaena Massangiana, or the corn plant. And that is the one that has the variegated stripe. It looks just like a corn leaf. It was another very popular one that we put in offices. And this is a medium light plant. It needs medium light, good light to bring out that center variegation. Otherwise, it'll just, revert back to green. And there is a green form. And we knew it as Dracaena fragrans. And it takes a little bit lower light because it doesn't need the light to bring out that chartreusey color. I just have to throw a palm in here because I love palms, and the one that I am going to talk about here is the Kentia palm. It is a beautiful, very graceful palm. It takes low to medium light, and as far as palms go, it is tough indoors. There's only one little drawback to it. It is expensive. The Areca palm is much less expensive, but they're not that long lasting, and they are spider mite traps. Whereas a Kentia palm, you will pay quite a bit more for it, but it is much longer lasting. And this is the palm that I am going to buy for my own home as soon as I find one that I love. And lastly, we have the spineless yucca, which I just had to include because it is so easy to care for, and it is also a highlight plant. So I just wanted a highlight plant in here. Now, don't confuse it with the Spanish bayonet. It is sometimes sold in the trade too, but it is very sharp tips, and you don't want that one. But the spineless yucca, as I said, it's really tough. It doesn't need to be watered all that much, and it gives you sort of that a little bit more of an edgy, modern, Southwest kind of a feel. And because I'm in Tucson, in a very dry part of the world, I'm going to be getting one of these plants too. So, speaking of new plants, I have my arrowhead plant here. I've grown it in California with, success, but I'm going to grow it for at least 8 months here in Tucson, and then I will do a video on it for you because it is a very popular plant. But as you can see, it's a tabletop plant. I digress. Oh, and I forgot, I'm going to include a couple of a few runner-up plants. That would be the Dracaena Warnecke, the Dracaena Lemon Lime, the cast iron plant, which was also a tabletop. It's more like a low full plant. And the Song of India and the Song of Jamaica are great floor plants too. And I'm going to give you a few tips for buying and a couple of important tips for care. So first is, if you can buy from a very reliable source, that is best. I try to buy directly from the grower if I can, or from a very reputable garden center. I have bought a few times at the big box stores, but like Home Depot and Lowe's, but I really go through the stock to find something that's really good. And second, I already said, is to start out with a tabletop plant or two. Try those and then work your way into floor plants. And third is, don't buy a floor plant on a whim. Just because you see a Ficus benjamina, the weeping fig, you might think, oh, I love that. But they are hard plants to grow indoors, and they also need high light. Which leads me to the next one, is know the requirements of the plant. Does it take low light, high light? Can it go dry? What does it need? And also know where it is going. And this is especially true of floor plants. They really lean toward the light. So I rotate mine about every 2 months just so it gets light evenly all the way around. And this next one is the most common cause of houseplant death, and that is overwatering. Usually that is watering too frequently. A plant would rather be on the dry side than be on the sopping wet side all the time. And lastly, as I said before, if you buy, say, a 3-foot corn plant and you want it to grow to 6 feet in 2 years, it's probably not going to happen. Now, as I said, the rubber trees do grow fast, the rubber plants, but most of these other plants are going to grow slower indoors. So if you want it at 6 feet, buy it at 5 to 6 feet. Now be sure and check out the blog post that goes along with this, because there will be more details in that, including links to the care posts and videos about these plants. And you can find that down below and also on our website, joyousgarden.com. So I hope you have found this video to be helpful. This, along with the one on tabletop plants, should get you on your way. And I have a lot more houseplant videos coming your way. I have actually a lot more videos about gardening, plants, flowers, all that good stuff. So if you love gardening, both indoors and outdoors, be sure to hit subscribe. And speaking of subscribe, I thank you for your subscribes and your likes. I really appreciate them. Now let's get into our indoor gardens and make our worlds a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.